Okay. So, microphone's working. FL Studio is working. Everything's being recorded this time. So let's do it. Let's get into this real quick. 20 minutes. 20 minutes, I promise. This is the 808. It's the Camel Crusher. It's a free plugin. It adds a little bit of distortion to the sound. The captator just beefs up the low end, brings up the volume slightly. And then a stereo enhancer, which I automate later, makes it sound more stereo. This is mono, and this is stereo. All right. Uh, let's go to the actual sound here. All I did was just bring the release all the way down, which allows you to be more flexible with the notes that you play and when you play them. As soon as you release the note on your keyboard, the sound stops. Whereas if the release was all the way up, it's just going to crash into itself and it's not going to sound pretty at all. So yeah, that's the 808. Next, you have 3 kicks, which I just layered on top of each other. They sound cool. They sound really nice together. Next, the actual lead. Main thing about this lead is just the reverb and a bit of EQing. EQ out the low end so it doesn't crash, clashing with the subs and the 808. You want each instrument to have its own space to breathe. Go here. All right. So that's what it sounds without the reverb. A few more effects, some EQing, more effects, multi-band compressor, which I'm just using as a filter for the intro. I ran out of space and I wanted to automate some delay, some reverb, did some more EQing just to finish it up, and then the sound was done. As for the actual sound, I made the sound here. These are settings. You can copy those. I mean, you have the project file, so you can look at it. You have this pitch modulation, which tweak, and I found a spot right here, which I thought was pretty cool. It sounded cool. And then I have this automating the cutoff, which was actually not intentional. I don't know. It sounds weird. It plays. It's like it goes into reverse halfway. You can hear that when you play the actual melody that plays during the chorus. So I thought that was cool, and I kept it. Next, just a snare. Sample pack hits hard. Worked. Hi-hat with some reverb that I automate at some point. Armor I used to create this sub. I use the filter frequency knob here, and mainly this pitch automation here. When you hit the key, I automated it so that it would start lower and go up to the actual key that I hit. You can decide how long that takes to happen. Yeah. That's the sub right there. Here, this is the bell. This plays during the break and at the end as well. So at the end, it just mimics the lead, which I thought was cool. It's a softer type of sound, so it's like the song's coming to a conclusion. But over here, I'm actually referencing the melody that plays during the scene with Varys and Littlefinger.
Chaos is a ladder. Many who try to climb it fail, and never get to try again.
So hopefully you heard that and the recording didn't bug out again. Okay, next sound. So this is layered during the intro with the actual lead. The lead plays essentially the same thing throughout the whole track until it gets to the break and then the second drop. But here, throughout the intro and into the drop, it's playing the same notes. And I thought that was boring, so that's why I added this. And basically just allowed me to play different notes and complement the actual lead that's playing in the background, and that sounds really cool. It's a bunch of effects, a bunch of EQing. Actually, not a bunch of effects, just some stereo shaper, EQ, delay, flangus. And yeah, if I ever forget to talk about an effect, for example, here the bell, it has some reverb. You can always just open the file, go to the sound, and you'll see all the effects right there in the mixer. These are just additional effects to the lead. I think I mentioned these. So I automated some delay, some reverb, finished up with some EQ. This is percussion that plays during the intro. Too much to say about that. A bit of EQing, bringing out the high ends, and yeah, just making it sound good and fit in the mix. Snare with reverb. Another snare. I don't know. At first, I was using one snare, but then I thought that was boring, so I started alternating between snares at some points in the track. So if you listen here, you can hear the snare switching up. It's just switching between this snare and that snare. Okay. Next, we have. Don't worry about this sound. I don't think I ever used it. So just a string or a pad that I used to color up the intro. You can hear during the intro. A lot of reverb with a decent amount of decay, so that it just kind of fills up the space and colors up the mix. Then we have this little sound here. I think that plays somewhere during the second drop. Oh, right there. All right, that was quick. So moving on. Looks like I added a camel crusher and I didn't really EQ it. So these next three sounds are all Harmer, and they all sound pretty ugly individually, but they are the sounds that make up the the second drop. So that's what they sound like together, and I thought that was cool. I made one sound, I was like, that sounds boring, so I made another one to layer on top of that, and I was like, that's still boring, and I kept making it, and eventually the three of them sounded pretty nice together. Once again, don't really know what I'm doing in Harmer, so just kind of messing with knobs and stuff. You can go check this out in the project file. One thing that I guess is pretty noteworthy to talk about is the automation of the volume here. So to do that, you can just edit the events or not. What? Alright, I'm pretty sure this is where I did it, but it looks like it's not. So I'm kind of confused. I guess I did it here with this automation. Or not. Oh, I have to go to the pattern. Okay, there it is. All right, yeah, so this is just automating the volume to give it that kind of future bass thing to it. All right, next sounds. Nothing here. This is just to sidechain the kick, and basically what sidechaining means is that when your kick hits, you might automate like the volume for another sound. So right here, you can see that knob is being automated. And the kick hits. Yeah, it's just, once again, you might have a lot of sounds playing, but you want to give your kick some room to breathe. So you can automate the volume to go down when the kick plays, and that way you can hear the kick more. And I use Peak Controller for that. You can watch YouTube tutorials to figure that out. I would explain it, but we're already at 10 minutes, so I'm trying to go as fast as possible. We gotta speed this up. It's a drum roll here, and crackle over here. This drum roll has some delay on it. And just coloring the mix a bit more. Same thing here, is more delay with the pan and stereo enhancer and more EQing. Yeah, another snare. The Lil B sample that you hear at the end. Delay and cut out the low end because I don't want to hear any of the actual track or any of like the low end. I just wanted that high end to play right there. Because I think the bass is too overwhelming for an ending. I don't think it would sound nice. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Next. That's just some percussion. It plays hell knows where. I think I know where actually. During the intro. Yeah, so. Yeah. Alright. Empty apparently. Another drum roll with stereo shaper, which is just another stereo enhancer, but a slight difference to how the sound is heard right there when it's on or off. Just coloring it up, trying to make it sound as wide as possible. I mean, I could probably make it sound even wider. Right there. Anyway. Gunshot, I think, or some sort of explosion, which you usually use at like the start of like a section if you want or not. Depends on what type of track you're making. I'm not sure where I used this one. Maybe here. All right. So the track starts really mono and then it just switches to stereo right here. So I wanted it to, I wanted the listener to really feel that. So I added a little bit of impacts and cinematic hits and all that. Next, this is nothing. Cool. Thank Paul. This is just me turning off. Actually, I didn't turn off anything. I basically exported the whole track. I put it into Paul Stretch. I stretched it, but I maintained the BPM, and it ended up sounding like this. And I thought that was a pretty cool thing to do for the intro. Just kind of adds a bit more texture to it. If you're wondering, Paul Stretch is what people use to make things like this. So yeah, it's oops. Oh, it was already open. Okay. get back to it. How are we doing? 15 minutes. All right, let's see if we can make it under 30 minutes. Let's go. Sample, sample from a sample pack. I think it plays right before the break. Yeah. It's just an effect. Yeah, it's like a riser. And you want to put those, right before you transition into another section. Or not, whatever sounds good. The looks of it, this used to be the 5 Easy Pieces sample that I used in another track. I'm not too sure what I was thinking because there's no way that would fit into this track. So I'm not sure what that is all about. Let's move on. There's another sub made in Silence. And to save time, just come look at these settings, come look at the cutoff. You can play around with it, see what it does and changes. But I didn't want to do the same thing that I did during the intro for the outro. So I used a different sub that sounded good, to me at least. So that's the outro. Here we have a bunch of percussion sounds. I think they all play during the second drop, so let's try and see if we can. Yeah. No effects on them. Oh wait, I guess I routed them all to here, so made them a little stereo, just making them wider, some EQing, cut off the low ends because I didn't want to hear any of the low ends. And yeah, that's it. Let's move on to the next sound. If you have really good ears, then you might recognize this voice from Willow Smith's Whip My Hair. Just a bunch of vocal chops, and I picked the ones that I like the best, and then I just hit some notes for this section right here, I think. Yeah, it's just like music is whatever, whatever you can come up with, just try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And right there, I thought it worked, so I kept it. Some more effect on it, which you can play with later. The goodbye sample, which plays right before the drop, the first drop. Goodbye. I thought it was cool. Some people might think it's a little cheesy, but goodbye. Whatever. I do what I want. This also plays during the intro, right here. It's just more effects adds, to the suspense of, oh, the drop is coming. Oh, right, so this is one of the cinematic hits I was talking about. I really like this one because it kind of builds up and then it hits real hard. And it feels like you're really transitioning from one space to another. And I purposely made the intro in mono, decently long, when the Game of Thrones sample comes in and all that, so that your ears kind of get used to this, and then suddenly they're listening to this. And it's just a little thing that you can think about when you're making music. How can you play around with the listeners' ears and stuff and their senses? I guess the only sense you could really play with is the auditory sense. Next sound. What was that? That was the 808, which plays before the break. I thought it was a really cool transition. Sounded nice. Some more percussion. I'm gonna assume. Playing. This is the intro percussion. So, as opposed to this one where I kept the high end during the second drop because it's more lively, it's more, main section of the song or the second main section of the song. Here it's the intro, so I don't want to give too much away yet. So I just added a huge filter on top of all these perks using the hardcore plugin, and it sounds really cool. Probably spent too much time listening to that, but yeah, this is what it sounds like without the hardcore.
We forget that it's a lie. But what do we have left once we abandon the lie?
Okay. I turned on the Game of Thrones sample during that, so yeah, let's get into that. Some EQing, really hard sample to cut out all the music playing in the background and all that low end. I sent it to a friend. Let me plug his SoundCloud real quick. Right here. Go listen to some of his tracks. I think this is a track he sent me, and he was like, "Yo, you have to do something with this." And I don't know. I tried best, but I couldn't do anything. And this was a liquid drum and bass track that I made for him. He was like, "Yeah, this is cool." And I told him I'm really bad at drum and bass, but I do want to get better. But yeah, let's move that here. Enough of that plug. Yeah, he helped me with the sample. I sent it to him. He did some magic to it, and he was able to remove a lot of what was happening in the background, so I could just focus on the actual speech and the vocals. Yeah, let's move on. Oh, there we go. From Looperman. Everybody's gonna roast me now. And the rest of these are just orchestral samples from some sample packs. And some drum rolls, and this is another drum roll. Reverb, sidechain, and that's it really. Let's go to the master. During the master, it looks like I didn't do too much. I had a limiter. I mixed really low, so then I just pulled up the gain here to bring back that volume. Decapitator, beef up the overall low end and volume. Let me show you what I mean. So yeah, it's just bringing up the volumes. Once you've finished, mixing, what you want to do is mix all your sounds first, and then you deal with the master right at the end. So yeah, that's all the sounds. And we're at 24 minutes. We're on schedule. I don't know. How was I reaching 1 hour before? Holy shit. Damn, I talk a lot. Shit. Let's talk quickly about the automation because that's pretty much the only thing left to talk about. Overall song structure, that's just, I can't really teach you that you want to have your introduction, your chorus, your break, your second drop, or your chorus again, and then your outro. That's like the general structure, but nobody has to, you know, follow that specifically. You can definitely stray away from the norm and do something different. But yeah, let's talk about this automation. This is where I automated the master. Usually you don't want to do that, but like I said, producers will just do whatever they want. Rules are just there to be broken. And yeah, I could have easily found a way to like route all the essential sounds that are playing at this time to a channel and then do it there instead, but I'm lazy. So
Do you know what the realm is?
some more automation, automating the silent stereo, going from mono to stereo, mono to stereo, and I think that's this sound, or maybe it's the lead of those sounds. You can look at that later. Some volume automations here. Echo Boy, which is a plugin I used somewhere. Stereo Shaper. Automated the multi-band compressor, which is just that filter for the main lead. And the idea here was to just give the listeners a taste of the drop during the intro. So here the filter is at max, and then I drop it slightly. I turn it off slightly.
And that it's I. And what do we have left?
So you can hear just a bit of the lead that you then hear during the drop, Some more automation here. Panning. Volume. I thought this was pretty smart, automating the pan for the speech. So Varus is on one side and Littlefinger is on the other side of your ear, and that was just one way to kind of distinguish that they're actually, or distinguish the two characters from each other. Because without the panning, it kind of sounds like it's one person talking when it's not, due to all the effects that I added on top of the sample. So that's pretty much all the automation during the intro. And then there's some automation here, halfway through the chorus. So you can see the reverb and the delay turn on for the lead. So yeah, and overall, that's just what automation is all about. I'm sure there's tutorials that will teach you exactly how to do it. I could probably do it real quick, just show you a quick one. Let's get out of this project. Hopefully I covered everything. Let me just show you how to do the automation thing. So you have a kick playing, and you route that kick to say here, this first channel, and you want to automate the volume. Maybe you want to do this for whatever reason. So click create automation clip, which I did really quickly and didn't actually talk about it. And then you can come here and adjust it to your liking. But this is mainly like learning how to use FL Studio. I guess one more trick is that if you put your kicks in here, they're not at 100% velocity. They're actually at like 80%, which means you're not getting the full dynamic of the kick when it's playing here. So what I like to do is instead of putting the kicks and the percussion in here, you can place them straight into the playlist, and they'll be at 100 velocity. Or you can still place them here, but then you'd have to manually change all of these, or find some way to change the default to be 100 rather than 80. You can also play with the pan here. All right, great, some great panning right there, some great velocity automation there, uh, or programming. This is not really automated. I don't know. That's pretty much the end of the video. I think I made it to 30 minutes with a bit of a tangent right there at the end, but I'm pretty satisfied with this length. Yeah. Now I can release the next project file, and I'll only make another video if you guys think that this was helpful, and if people ask me to make another video, because I don't know, it just messing up 3 times really took a toll on me. Spent an hour making the first one, spent another hour making the second one, and I was like, I'm just gonna speed through everything and see how fast I can finish this. And I got it to 30 minutes, so yeah. All right. Thank you for watching the whole video if you made it this far. Thank you for listening to my music. And yeah, maybe I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.